Imagine, if you will, a comic strip, not one you'd find in a Sunday paper, mind you. This one is nearly 70 meters long and almost 1,000 years old. It's not made of paper and ink, but of colorful woolen threads stitched onto a long band of linen cloth. This absolutely extraordinary creation is the Bayeux Tapestry, a magnificent visual chronicle from the 11th century. It's a bit like a medieval blockbuster film, frozen frame by frame, telling a story of ambition, betrayal, and a battle that changed the course of English history forever. When you first lay eyes on it, the sheer scale is what gets you. You start at one end and just keep walking and walking and walking. The story unfolds before your very eyes, a continuous narrative packed with detail and drama. There are kings and soldiers, ships and horses, castles and churches. It's a far cry from a dusty, static historical document. This is history brought to life with a needle and thread, a vibrant and bustling panorama of a pivotal moment in time, all preserved for us to gaze upon nearly 1,000 years later. The whole thing is brimming with fascinating little details that draw you in. Along the top and bottom run decorative borders, and these aren't just for show. They are filled with all sorts of curious creatures and scenes, some from fables and some from daily life. These marginalia, as they're called, add another layer of richness to the experience, offering little glimpses into the medieval mindset and the world beyond the main political drama. At its heart, the tapestry tells the story of the Norman Conquest of England in 1066. It's a proper royal drama full of intrigue. The main characters are two powerful men vying for a single prize, the English throne. On one side we have Harold Godwinson, the most powerful earl in England, a formidable Anglo-Saxon leader. On the other, there's William, the Duke of Normandy, a tough and ambitious ruler from across the English Channel. With vivid scenes of battles, banquets, betrayals, and even omens in the sky, it captures the drama of the Norman conquest in extraordinary detail, as if freezing history in fabric for nearly 1,000 years. The whole saga culminates in the famous Battle of Hastings on October 14th, 1066. The tapestry portrays the brutal day-long conflict with unflinching detail. We see Norman knights on horseback charging uphill against the formidable English shield wall. Arrows fly, swords clash, and soldiers fall. The most famous and debated scene of all shows the death of King Harold. An arrow appears to strike him in the eye, a dramatic and gruesome end that sealed the fate of Anglo-Saxon England. With Harold's death, the battle was won, and William the Conqueror's reign began, changing England forever. The prevailing view today is that the tapestry was commissioned by a man named Bishop Odo of Bayeux. Odo was not just any bishop. He was William the Conqueror's half-brother, a fierce and ambitious man who fought alongside William at the Battle of Hastings. Although it was commissioned by a Norman and tells a Norman story, most experts believe the tapestry was actually made in England. The style of the embroidery, the spelling of the Latin names, and the artistic details all point towards Anglo-Saxon artisans, quite possibly nuns in a convent. So you have English hands stitching a grand piece of propaganda celebrating their own country's defeat. It's a fascinating irony. A story of conquerors hiring the conquered to tell their tale. The tapestry is a masterful piece of political spin, designed to be displayed in Odo's newly built cathedral in Bayeux. It was a visual sermon, a way of telling the largely illiterate population that William's rule was legitimate, and that resisting it was to go against the will of God himself. After its initial display in Bayeux Cathedral, this incredible masterpiece largely faded from historical view for centuries. Can you imagine? It was rolled up and stored away, its existence known only to a few local officials in Bayeux. It was only in 1729 that it was truly rediscovered by the wider world, and its immense historical and artistic value was finally recognized, saving it from being lost to history forever. Today, the Bayeux Tapestry is housed in its own dedicated, climate-controlled museum in the town of Bayeux, Normandy, the Musée de la Tapisserie de Bayeux. Here it is displayed in a U-shaped gallery protected behind glass, allowing visitors to follow the entire narrative from beginning to end. But now for the most exciting news of all. In what is a truly momentous event, it has been announced that the tapestry will be loaned to the British Museum. The loan, scheduled for September 2026 to July 2027, will mark the first time the tapestry has returned to English soil in over 900 years. It's a chance for the people of the country whose history it depicts so vividly to see it in person, a sort of homecoming for this incredible work of art. When we look at the artistic features, it's important to note one rather pedantic but crucial point. The Bayeux Tapestry is not actually a tapestry. A true tapestry is a work where the design is woven into the fabric itself. This, however, is technically an embroidery. The images are created by stitching woolen yarns onto a background of plain linen cloth. Using a limited palette of just 8 colors, the Anglo-Saxon embroiderers managed to create scenes of astonishing vibrancy and life. The techniques are relatively simple, but the result is utterly spectacular. The whole narrative is laid out across 58 distinct scenes, organized into 9 joined panels of linen. Each scene is usually accompanied by a short caption in Latin, a sort of medieval subtitle that explains what is happening. This combination of image and text is what makes it so accessible and has led many to call it the world's first comic strip. The style is pure Romanesque art. The figures are flat and stylized. There's little sense of perspective, but they are incredibly expressive. They tell the story with a clarity and energy that is immediately compelling, bridging the gap of nearly a millennium. The Bayeux Tapestry remains one of the most important historical documents and works of art from the Middle Ages. It is a story, a work of propaganda, a historical record, and a masterpiece of textile art, all rolled into one very, very long strip of linen. So what are your thoughts on this incredible piece of history? Have you been lucky enough to see it in person, or are you hoping to see it when it comes to Britain? I'd love to hear what you think.